It is March 1st, 2021. This is episode 84 on the Real Kyper at Noon show. Hey, everybody. Welcome. I hope it was a great, safe weekend for everyone as we tee up this week in the National Hockey League. I'm Nick Kypreos, Joe and Jordan on the sidelines, Doug Maclean itching to get in. Today's thumbnail topic of discussion, the Columbus Blue Jackets. And we know that there are some teams struggling out there and feeling it. The fan bases of certain cities don't know which end is up right now. And the other one is the Buffalo Sabres. And of course, our thumbnail will focus on Columbus to start this show. March 1st, man, where does it go? Are we almost at the halfway mark of this season, this abbreviated season? It is going by quick, and that probably makes Columbus Blue Jacket fans feel a little worse as they see certain teams right now in better position than them in the Central Division. Let's bring in a guy that knows well that market, and we could have easily picked the Buffalo Sabres, but I think this one we feel a little bit more because we didn't expect this as much as we probably would have expected a situation in Buffalo because of their history. I mean, they've got a longer history of a lack of success. So Mac, when we left the bubble last year with a convincing opening preliminary round to the playoffs for Columbus against Toronto, we did not envision the struggles that we've seen moving here. And like I said, let's bring in the former president and general manager of Columbus because he knows that market well. And I think if there's anyone that can speak of that market or what they're feeling or how the heck they can kind of dig themselves out of this, it would be Doug Maclean. So, Mac, first of all, you okay down there in Florida? I mean, is it emotional watching Columbus struggle just a little bit for you?
No, it's not emotional at all.
Pretend.
Doesn't fade. I'm just wondering how those great hockey writers in Columbus are trying to figure out today how to blame me for this. Although I've been gone like 12 years, but
oh, come on, we're way past that.
Yeah, totally. That was a joke. But listen, here's the thing that bothers me is we come into this season saying, you know what? Tampa Bay, Dallas, and Carolina were going to be really tough. We had Columbus right in there with them as a top 4 team in this conference. This division.
And we did not have Chicago or Florida ahead of them.
No, we sure didn't. And now when you're looking at it, if you go by percentage, they may be in 7th place because they've got so many games in hand on Dallas in particular and a couple other teams maybe. So this is really, I mean, look, they come out of the bubble last year, as you said, playing so well. You know, they beat Toronto. They have an unbelievable series against Tampa Bay. And then they come out and I've watched their last couple of games, yesterday in particular, the game before, because I knew we were going to zero in on them a bit. I mean, where is their identity? This team had an identity the last couple of years. They were great goaltending, great defensively, tough to play against, big bodies. They look small. They look slow. They look disinterested. And I mean, this would make me very nervous if I'm Tortorella, who obviously his job has got to be on the line, and Kekalainen. They've got to be nervous about the way this team looks right now. They look soft.
2-7, losers of 7 of 8, Mac. And if we need to kind of pinpoint all of this, does it go back to their ability or inability to deal with Pierre-Luc Dubois? Is that the start of all of this in terms of Columbus's struggles?
I can't say you can blame it on that. That's, we know that there's always been a Tortorella Dubois battle going on there. We knew Winnipeg because of his father and as a minor league coach. But look, I'm more concerned about their identity. And I got to tell you what, when we watched Tampa Bay series and we watched Toronto series, Dubois was a big part of that identity, Nick. He was a big body guy that was tough to play against. And then you go
That's my point. That's my point.
So
it forced them, Mac. It forced them. Part of their identity was having this big horse up the middle of the ice. And now we look at their center ice position, and I watch Boone Jenner serve up a pizza up the middle of the ice to Ryan Johansson, and the next thing you know, the puck's in their net and the game's over, Mac. And Roslovic was a fourth line guy that now is in a position where he has to try to play with a world-class shooter and Patrick Laine. That's a lot of pressure on those guys.
Well, there's a lot of pressure on everybody because of that trade. And now the pressure, so Dubois is gone. He's started to play pretty well. He's on their number one line with Wheeler and Scheifele. Yeah. That's where he is right now. That's who he's playing with. He's going to get lots of opportunities to score.
That's temporary. That's temporary.
I know it is, because they'll eventually move him to the middle when they get it going. But look, now you go, and you just said it. Roslovic, Texier, Stenlund, Robinson. Boone Jenner takes face-offs. He's an important guy for face-offs for them. But that center ice, I should say Nash is their fourth centerman. And it's not Rick Nash. It's Riley Nash. The bottom line is, I look at that team and I see Bumstrom and Bjorkstrand and Stenlund and Texier. And I'm thinking, where's the ump from this lineup that's going to battle at playoff time? Look, we talked the big horse Dubois, but they had the big horse on the back end in Jones as well. And Savard was a warrior.
Minus 11.
Right. And you know what? They have struggled mightily. Korpisalo, Merzlikins has been hurt. Korpisalo's been good, but not great. So I was expecting them to really be be better. I really was. Now, what is Laine thinking right now?
Well,
we saw him. Look, I watched the other night. He bangs his stick after coming off the ice of the power play. He's pissed off at Roslovic. And I'm thinking, okay, Laine, come on. You don't need to do that to a teammate on the ice. And, people thought it was good that he showed emotion. I'm thinking, no, you show emotion, but maybe do it one-on-one, not in front of a TV audience. I didn't like it, but that's okay. Laine's a star. And
he is a star.
But he's not getting the puck.
The issue, and we were abundantly clear on this show that before we even saw Pierre-Luc Dubois in another uniform or Patrick Laine, we made it abundantly clear, you don't trade a number one center for a number one winger. And, watching this thing unfold, I'm watching Patrick Laine right now, Mac, and I'm saying that guy's Phil Kessel in Toronto.
Yeah.
That Jarmo Kekalainen made the exact same mistake Brian Burke made. In a guy, a winger that you try to build around. You don't build around those guys.
Well, look, and funny, Dion Phaneuf and I talked about it this summer. The two building blocks in Toronto were Kessel and Phaneuf. And we know how that turned out. I said it last week on this show, and I don't mean to be critical, but listen, I have been ripped for not being able to find a centerman. The best centerman I got when I was there was Brassard with the 6th overall pick. Missed out on Taves. Backstrom went ahead. We took Fedorov in to try to babysit Gerda. That didn't go so well. But look at Couturier they could have had. They gave up Carlson so they could keep Anderson. And then they move Anderson for Domi, a disaster. And they let Dubois go. And they also have let Wenberg go, who happened to be a first-round pick. So look, their center ice right now is non-existent. And I look, Roslovic, I don't know what he's going to become. He was a fourth-line player in Winnipeg. and now he's your number one centerman. Texier, a good young player. He's one of your top centermen. I'm sorry. Laine wants a big-name centerman to get him the puck, Nick. We've talked about it. They need to find somebody that can get this guy the puck.
The other unfortunate mistake was they were convinced that Max Domi could come in and play center ice. They wanted him desperately to come in, and they needed him desperately to take that position in the middle of the ice.
Did they not watch him in Montreal where he couldn't play center? Wasn't that he wanted to play center? They didn't want him at center. They didn't think he could play center for them. Am I wrong in that?
Yeah, there were some struggles there for sure, and Max, he needs his confidence, Mac. He does, and it's kind of clear that Tortorella is not long for anybody in their confidence. I listened to his comments after the game, and he's like, I got nothing to say. We've talked, I think he mentioned the word nauseum, that we've already had these discussions, and I'm watching and I'm like, once there's an apathetic philosophy into your comments, I don't know where else you go, Mac. If you're still the general manager or president there, what do you do with Tortorella now? Do you have to make a change?
Well, look, Tortorella, to me, do I agree with everything he does? Do I agree? No, but he's done a good job there. He has done a good job there.
Mac, you watch those games against Nashville. You watch those games against Nashville, he's not doing a very good job, and nobody has. Nobody
but I'm saying he has done a good job there. There's no doubt in my mind he's done a good job there. But there comes a time that Claude Julien has done a good job too at times in Montreal, and this coach has done it. There comes a time where you've got to make a change, and that's what they're stuck with right now. They got a big decision, but here's the problem, Nick. Look at their organization. Who have they got to replace Tortorella? You're going to put Brad Shaw in. You're going to put Larson in. You're going to put Mikey Eaves, the coach. Who's going to go in?
I don't know, Mac,
and give you the pizzazz behind the bench? Because here's the thing: if you're going to move Tortorella out, you need somebody to come in this market that's going to give you a great chance to get in the playoffs.
You're going to put your American Hockey League coach in there,
not a chance. Are you going if they do, then that's to me they're thin there. They don't have a guy that's going to walk in and get who is coming in to replace Tortorella from the inside. That's going to get them in the playoffs. That would be my concern.
Do you believe in making a change just for the sake of making a change?
Listen, I
did.
Yeah, I did. I was told by the owner to fire Dave King, and I was told by the owner to fire Gerard Gallant. Both times. And if you don't fire him, you're not going to be here. That's what I was told.
So
People
what did you
believe it or not?
Did you tell him I prefer to wait and turn this thing around with them?
100%.
Did you fight for them?
100%. But there was no fighting. It was, this is the situation. So I don't know what ownership. Now that was Mr. Mack, who was a wonderful guy, and he was tough, but he was a solid, good man.
Still the same family though, right? Owning the team.
Well, it is to a degree, but Nationwide have 30% of the team, Nationwide Insurance, and a couple of minority owners. I don't know who would be calling the shots on this. Kekalainen, where does he fit in here? I mean, he's under the gun too. Let's not kid ourselves. So this is a fan base that thought this was good. After coming off beating Toronto, Tampa Bay, there was expectations that this team surviving the Panarin, Bobrovsky, Duchesne loss. They thought this was going to be a team that was going to be right in the mix. And I don't blame them because we thought the same thing. So it is frustrating on everybody. And I'm sure it isn't Kekalainen. I'm sure he likes his group, and Torts likes his group, but they're not playing. They are not playing right now from what I've watched.
You can't like this group, Mac, if they can't control the middle of the ice. And their identity was in the bubble, their identity was their middle of the ice. Mm-hmm. From the net to your horses on the blue line to Pierre-Luc Dubois. That was your identity. And now
And
it's gone.
But that's what kept jumping out at me last night. And as a general manager or president of a team, what is the identity of your group? And look, that's what Tortorella's done a good job of there. That's what Kekalainen's done a good job. We all knew what the identity was. Today we don't. And that's a big that drives hockey people crazy.
Okay, before we move on, one last thing again in Columbus is they're under the gun, not just to get back in the race here or salvage this season, but the next few years, what the look of this team could have. And within 2 years, Seth Jones, unrestricted free agent. Werenski's contract's up. He's restricted. Savard, who has no contract. He's a UFA as well. Those are the three horses on the blue line that shine so much in the bubble. But
then you move to Korpisalo's deal is up. Merzlikin's deal is up.
How do you convince?
And Laine's up.
Laine's up. How do you convince these guys to still stick around, Mac? It should be a place where hockey players would like to go and play. It's good community. Ohio State. It is a sports place.
And I've debated this with all kinds of these writers, that have been taking shots at the city of Columbus. And I'm going to tell you something. It is a great city to live. We were there 10 years. My kids still call it home. Both graduated from high school there. We loved living in Columbus, Ohio. It is a great town, and they've got a good ownership group, a strong ownership group. They've got a magnificent building. It's a good city to live in. But this is a real turning point for this franchise. Over the next 2 years, beginning with Laine and moving from Laine to Jones to Werenski to Korpisalo to Merzlikins, who will end up being there?
I got a lot of time for Patrick Laine, but I gotta go convince Seth Jones first. Jones before Laine.
No, but he's a year and a half away. Jones. That's
you don't have to get Laine on a long-term deal.
No, you're right. You don't.
But Seth Jones, you have to convince that you want to play the rest of your career in Columbus now.
I agree. And there's whispers. There's whispers Colorado. There's whispers Dallas. But it's not whispers. It's a guy at his stage in his career has one last chance to make a decision if he wants to do a long-term deal, where he wants to spend the rest of his career. That's what you're up against as a management team. And trust me, it's not a pleasant situation. It's not. It's a challenging situation. And, I don't know what Seth Jones is thinking. I have no idea what he's thinking. I have no idea what Laine's thinking. All I know is it's the city. The players on that hockey team love living in Columbus, Ohio. And anybody that tries to tell me something different is full of BS. But do they want to be on the Blue Jackets, and do they believe they have a chance to win? That's what it's going to come down to.
In my career, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, in my career, I got a chance to be in a marketplace that was a good marketplace in terms of some history and knowing their place, and they were never going to be the New York Rangers or the Boston Bruins, but Hartford had a good NHL solid place.
Yeah.
And then it went sour, and it went sour because they had players entrenched in the community like Ron Francis, like Mike Liut, like Ulf Samuelsson, Dave Tippett, like some of these guys, Ray Ferraro,
Kevin Dineen,
they had it going there pretty well.
Yeah.
And then it started going sour, and they never got it back.
Yeah.
Could that happen in Columbus?
Well, I don't I hope not. I certainly hope not, because they've got their fan base is a loyal group. Their
They
corporate
were loyal in
base,
Hartford too.
I know. Well, they're real loyal. I was in Hartford. Well, maybe it was when it started to decline. But look, they've got a loyal corporate base in Columbus. It's a wealthy city. The ownership group, I believe, is really strong. I hope it doesn't, and I don't think it will. I don't think it will. But it will. The reason it starts to disintegrate, Nick, is because you lose key players. When they made the Ronnie Francis deal, that was the start of the demise of the Hartford Whalers with Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah. Well,
So-
and it put a ton of pressure on John Cullen. Zarly
Right.
Zalapsky, the late
Totally.
Zarly Zalapsky, came in, who was a
Right.
solid player, but not
if they-
spectacular.
Nick,
And
if they make a coaching change, which Torts is going to step down eventually if he doesn't get fired, there's going to be a new coach come in. I'm not sure what'll happen with the general manager's job. We'll wait and see where that goes. But
all right,
I mean, the bottom line to me is they got to get Line A and Jones signed. That to me will stop the exodus. That's what has to happen.
I agree. It'll show the fans, their
Totally.
base, a commitment that they're not going anywhere.
That's right.
That's the bottom line.
And they got to get them done.
All right,
So
let's move
hope
on,
it happens.
because part of Columbus's big problem is the pesky Chicago Blackhawks at 12-7-4, winners of 7 of 10, and carrying a very special hockey player who scored his 400th career goal on the weekend. Mac, when I had Patrick Kane on the show, a month and a half ago, or just prior to the season starting, he told me that they were going to surprise a lot of people. And he's held up his end of the bargain, I can tell you that.
Well, look, he gets his 11th goal last night.
Tied for second in league scoring.
And I put out a tweet, best American player of all time, and I get all these guys saying, "Well, Pat LaFontaine and this guy and that guy," and hey, all very good players. This guy is by far. This guy's so much better than them. It's scary for me. He's a winner. A Stanley Cup winner. He's 32. He's got 8 rookies on the team. He doesn't have Marner with him. He doesn't have Draisaitl with him. He's got DeBrincat with him, who's becoming a hell of a story. But he's got 8 rookies, and he's got this team near the top of the division. This guy is so damn exciting to watch. I mean, you watch him play the other night. Like the plays he's making, whether it's on scoring or whether it's setting up the play, he's a big-time talent. So people can chirp all they want about when I say MVP. He's got to be right in the mix today. Right in the mix.
Would he get your vote above Matthews and Marner or Matthews, Marner, or McDavid if you had to vote today?
Well, here, because of one thing. He's got 8 rookies. They were expected to be lousy. Matthews has Marner with him. McDavid has Draisaitl with him on the power play.
They got even more.
But come on, this guy, they got more around them than this guy has. This guy has got a bare bones group around him. DeBrincat's becoming a real good player.
Okay.
I get that. But come on. The job. So if you're saying the most valuable player based on what we've seen so far this year, with all due respect to those other 1-2 punches, which is what Matthews and Marner are unbelievable. It goes back to the Kane Taves day, the 1-2 punch. He doesn't have the 1-2 other than, and I love DeBrincat, but he's not there yet he's getting close. So how do you overlook Kane? Well, because you think because Matthews has been superb and McDavid's McDavid, but he's got to be in the conversation. I'll guarantee you that.
Well, Chicago has raised eyebrows up until this point, but they've had a lot of Columbus and Detroit.
Yeah.
Dallas has not hit stride yet.
Are they going to?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you look at Lankinen has come in 9-3-3 right now. And
Nick, 42 saves he made last night in Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah. So you look at March, though, and, we said March 1st already. And now Chicago's got Tampa, I think, 5 times in the next 20 days, Mac. They've also got Florida, I think, this month 4 times in 11 or 12 days. So we're going to find out pretty quick if Chicago can hang in there.
Yeah, and I will be surprised if they do. I mean, you've got to believe Dallas is going to figure this out. Nashville have played much better, maybe saved David Poyle's ass along the way, and Hines, because there's lots of conversation going on there about what they had to do, and a couple of wins eases the pressure. But, Florida, I mean, they look like they're for real right now, and they're not doing it because of Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky has been their backup on a lot of nights. Barkov is a star. Huberdeau's a star. I mean, it's been a good story.
Buffalo Sabres, we mentioned on the top of the show. God, that's ugly. It's just, I don't know. I don't know another word to describe it than ugly. 29th in scoring, getting shut out constantly. And then, Mac, there's this
stars being scratched.
Bizarre development on the weekend about Jack Eichel and his injury, and where he got hurt. Ralph Kruger was asked about it, and he thought it happened during a warm-up, I guess, Thursday. And then Jack kind of cleared it up and said, no, I didn't get hurt in warm-up. I got hurt against New Jersey on Tuesday, and it just looks like the left hand has no idea what the right hand is doing.
Just a minute. Didn't the coach Kruger say, when asked about a warm-up, he said he got hurt in warm-up and I didn't know anything about it? Wasn't there something along those lines? And then they asked Eichel, and he said, no, I didn't get hurt in warm-up. I got hurt. So what the hell is going on there? I mean, were they trying to hide it? Well, I don't know. This is your franchise player we're talking about here. This isn't Skinner, although he's a $9 million player, or this isn't this is your franchise player who must be getting. We talk about Line A, and we talk about Jones, and we talk about Dubois, and we talk about these guys. What about and McDavid getting frustrated prior to their last 2-week run? What happens to where's his head right now, Eichel's? How many general managers has he been through? This is his third GM.
The first guy that knows when a player is hurt is the head athletic trainer.
Right.
The second guy that knows a player is hurt is the head coach, because the trainer can't run into the office if it's in between periods or on the bench fast enough to give him one of these. Exactly. So how the hell can this story go into grade 2 broken telephone?
And the next guy that knows is the general manager, ASAP. So you're right. This is just, you know what? And you wonder why there's a little bit of chaos there. I mean, come on. But it's, it's how many GMs, how many coaches, how many people are you going to go through before Eichel says, get me the hell out of here?
Well, or revisit, get me the hell out of here, because where there's smoke, there's fire. And
you said it last summer, and I thought you were BSing, but
that story,
maybe you knew what you were talking about. I don't know.
That story's not going anywhere. Okay, the game that we kind of teed up at the end of the week was Toronto and Edmonton, and we know how hot Edmonton came in, and I thought the Leafs fed them their lunch, Mac. I don't know any other way to describe it from top to bottom. The Leafs were very, very solid right throughout their lineup and gave no opportunity for McDavid, Draisaitl, Barry, Nurse. I guess that's pretty much it. Any breathing room. I was very impressed by the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, you start with, obviously, and this is, we don't have to repeat it, but Matthews doesn't play. Their number one superstar doesn't play. Their checking centerman, Tavares, moves into the number one center role. The $11 million checking centerman moves into the number one role. And their backup goaltender, Jack Campbell, who I know you love, comes in and gives him a great performance.
I don't know if I love him just yet.
This was a power play that was 0 for 12 going into this game, Toronto. Nylander gets him a couple power play goals. Tavares slides into the lineup. He ends up 72% on faceoffs, and he gets a couple of assists. They looked really, really good, the Leafs. They don't take a penalty. They don't give the Edmonton power play one power play chance. I mean, Sheldon Keefe would leave that game saying, wow, did I get a performance from my group here? Impressive.
You broke down a lot. The one thing that you didn't mention, and
I had to leave something for you.
The number one thing that stood out for me was like real depth. When I watch Engvall and Mikhailov play 17, 18 minutes and play it the majority of the Edmonton Oilers end.
How big and strong.
Now you've got something going on right now. If these guys can come in and give you that type of depth, if they can alleviate the pressure on your blue line and the star players, now you're talking about a Tampa Bay, maybe a Coleman and Goudreau scenario where these guys can come in and really layer up your star players. That's what impressed me the most Saturday night.
And then you're right. I mean, which has always been a challenge. That, can the bottom of the lineup contribute when it really counts? Because the big boys, we know in the playoffs how tough it is on the big guys. They still find a way to come through, but you need those less than top guys, and they got it. I mean, it was a spectacular performance, and that's with Smith coming in, having a great game. We haven't even mentioned the great goal by Jason Spezza, who, by the way, was he the number one centerman in Ottawa Senator history? I know our good friend Bruce Garriock, who, by the way, used to rip me every Sunday in his paper, that asshole. Every Sunday he ripped me in his paper. Now we're best friends for some reason. But anyway.
Well, again.
Spezza made quite a play, didn't he?
It's making the most, phenomenal.
Yeah, it was.
And it's a guy that can come in who historically has been a number one centerman, who's historically had his 18, 19 minutes a night. Right. Now he comes in and he can maximize anywhere from 9 to 13 minutes, 14 minutes. And that's a great sign that you can take a guy that isn't really used to that role and play it magnificently. That's what he's been able to do.
I got to tell you something. Like a big part of coaching and a big part of management is team building. And coach's job is team building in the dressing room. And look, Simmons has come in, Thornton's come in, Spezza comes in, Bogosian. I wasn't overly excited about them, but I'll tell you what, there's been a tremendous buy-in here. And Sheldon Keefe, I got to give him credit. This is a guy that's paid his dues, from the Pembroke Lumber Kings to the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Dubas brought him in, Marlies. You know what? He's paid his dues. And I'll tell you what, if there's one thing that continually stands out to me, is there's a good mood within the group, that there's a good team building scenario going on within that dressing room. It's easy when you're winning. I know that. But these are big veterans who have had big careers and big names, and there's been a really good buy-in here. So you got to give Mark full marks here.
The other thing on full marks for Sheldon is he has changed the system, and I don't know if anybody's talking about it enough, Mac, but they are a dump and chase team when they need it.
Yeah.
The turning back up and regrouping and all of that's gone. They've really now made some key decisions that have simplified their game and minimized the lazy turnovers.
But Nick, Babcock has had an unbelievable coaching career. He couldn't get this group to play that way. So it's a slight change of personnel, veteran leadership that's helped that, the maturing of some of the kids. It's a lot of people involved. Babcock could not get them to play this game. Was it because they were too young? Maybe. Was it because they didn't have a lot of the right personnel? But I know one thing: there's a buy-in here.
Well,
and I don't know. I'm not blaming Babcock here. The buy-in is there's a maturing level of this team that is now deciding we got to play playoff style hockey. They wouldn't for the previous 5 years. I watched that every night.
It's playing without the puck.
Yeah,
and that doesn't get enough credit. And I don't know if and there's no analytic numbers to suggest that.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is.
When you don't have the puck, there really isn't.
There's got to be some somewhere, or they'll invent them so that they will. There will be.
There's no numbers out there that could suggest that I am standing in the right spot without a puck. That's just the eye of the beholder, and it's usually with a guy that's kind of been around the game. But listen,
you know what?
There's a lot of good numbers that support a lot of good things, but the game is as much without the puck than it is with the puck. And Matthews has learned that. His game, Mac, without the puck is gone to another level.
Spectacular.
Right.
So the question is, you watch Tampa Bay. They play pretty much the same way every night. You watch Boston, a couple of glitches, but they're not as talented, in my opinion, as they were a year ago. Krug is a big loss. But they play the same way, and they play without the puck, and they fight for blue pucks, and they battle their way through it. The top teams in the league play that way. Toronto's had a tough go with Tampa and Boston in their division. That hasn't been easy. This has been a way maybe to build this, because the opposition, a lot of their opposition, are trying to play a run and gun game that they play on a regular basis. And it's not working with some of these teams. I mean, the Canadian division right now, I don't care what anybody says. Toronto should not be criticized because some of the other teams are having bad seasons. Toronto should get lots of credit for the way they're playing, as Edmonton should get credit for the way they've turned it around.
Simplicity on the blue line too. You had mentioned at the beginning of the season there might be two defensemen away. The play of Hall, even Bogosian, as a 5 or 6, has given them some solid minutes, and it's looking a lot better down there, and they're more physical now than I've seen them in years.
Except to contend, I still don't think their blue line is good enough. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Riley's been good. Brody's been fine. But where is this blue line going to be when they get against the top teams? I think they still need another, maybe as high as a number 3 guy.
Yeah.
Maybe as high as a number 3 guy.
We'll just say it.
But they're not easy to find.
The red carpet for a Stanley Cup for the Toronto Maple Leafs has never been better. Okay? And did it take a pandemic? Did it take an all-Canadian division? Whatever the case is, if we had looked at a regular season this year, Mac, there'd be arguments to suggest that, we'd be in another position where maybe now 2 or 3 teams would make the playoffs out of 7. Yep. And if you look at historically the last 4 or 5 years, everybody struggled. Every team in Canada struggled at some point and had no longevity for making playoffs or having decent runs. So you're guaranteed now, even with a subpar division, you are guaranteed now. The Toronto Maple Leafs have never been in a better position to get to a Final Four without what you just said, Boston and Tampa Bay. So
100%.
once you're in a Final Four, that means you've had 2 good runs to gain your confidence. Who knows what other teams will look like by then? Who's beat up, who's not, who may have some issues, including potentially COVID still around to cause all types of havoc. But getting there puts you in a position of, God, we could win this thing.
But they haven't got to the Final Four yet, Nick. They've got to win. They got to win some They got to win some 4 out of 7s here. And you've got a goaltender who's never won. Has he won a playoff round? No, I don't think so.
They are running over everybody in the Canadian division.
They are. But
running over. They're not just beating them. They're running them over.
Edmonton dominated last year, the second half of the season, and Chicago knocked them out in the first round. Come on. The playoffs will be tougher. I agree with you. They're poised. They're right there. There's no reason they will get ripped if they don't come out of the Canadian division. I wouldn't underestimate Montreal yet in a best of 7. I wouldn't underestimate McDavid, Draisaitl and company in the best of 7 yet. But they should win it.
Were you okay with Montreal's effort, except scoring goals on the weekend against Winnipeg? Jake Allen gave them a chance.
Oh, by the way, Winnipeg's top 9 forwards are pretty damn good, and their defense is underrated, and Hellebuck is the best goalie in Canada today. Let's not forget about Winnipeg. Was I happy with Montreal's performance?
Winnipeg,
you bring in a new coach, and you really, really don't want to lose the first 2 games. You really don't want to. That is an upsetting situation. You want to win when you make a coaching change, you think, well, good God, surely they're going to get enough energy. They're going to win a game. They didn't.
Montreal comes back, I believe, tomorrow night against Ottawa. Now, there's 2 schools of thought. You leave Carey Price alone, let him work on his mental and physical game, and you let Jake Allen run with it a little bit, or you go, no, it's the Ottawa Senators, and we got to get our number 1 guy going again, put him in against what still is perceived as one of the worst teams in the league.
Well, I said they should go with Allen, and they did go with Allen. He gave them a good performance. I guess that my decision on that would be, what is the goalie coach and Price? What is going on in their head right now? What does he need to get his game back? Does he need to play and get a win? Is that what he needs, or does he need some fundamental work? I don't know that, but I would be Mr. Waite, the goaltending coach there, would be sitting in the GM and coach's office fairly often to find out what the hell we got to do to get our superstar guy going here. Is it wins? Yeah, probably. Is it technique? I doubt it. So if it is wins, he should play.
I don't know.
If it's technique, he shouldn't.
I don't know a scenario over the course of our hockey history where a number one goalie can sit on the sidelines and say, every time my number 2 goes in there and potentially plays well, that's a good thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if Jake Allen does go on a run here, it makes it that much harder for Carey Price to have a long leash when he may need it down the road.
And it puts a ton of pressure on everybody. You want him to be a solid backup. You don't want him challenging Carey Price.
Not at this point. Not at this point.
You don't. I suspect he plays, Carey Price, but we'll see.
I would say that it's not as much as it sounds great to say we're going to give him the time that he needs to work on his game and practice. That's not in. It's not in their best interest.
It's really easy for a newspaper reporter to say Carey needs a reset. It's a little tougher for Ducharme, a rookie head coach, to say to Carey,
take another night off,
and to Bergevin, you need a reset.
Take another night off.
Yeah.
Okay, are we down to now thinking that Vancouver can save their season with a Virtanen trade, because that's the most exciting trade talk there is out there right now. That's how pathetic it is.
Oh my God. Headline news. Jake Virtanen, who they've been trying to get rid of for 3 years. It was the biggest.
That's a good scoop by Elliot. Don't knock it.
Was it Elliot that said it? I didn't know it was our friend Elliot that said it.
It's not Elliot's fault. That's the only thing that is out there right now.
I didn't know it was Elliot. Oh, that's hard.
It's hard to make trades.
What the hell is Elliot doing with his hair and the turtlenecks? And where's
Elliot looks good.
Berman? Is Deb Berman gone?
No, Deb's still doing wardrobe for Hockey Night in Canada and Rogers.
Clean Elliot up. Get him a haircut and
no, that's his
eyes
shtick.
Back on him.
No. Let shtick. Elliot be Elliot.
That's what I mean. Elliot is cleaned up and with a shirt and tie on. That's Elliot.
Did you catch the meltdown on the weekend too with Jordan Bennington coming out of the net against San Jose? Basically challenging the bench.
165-pound Jordan Bennington is going to beat everybody up. Jordan, just when you come out of the net, just go to the dressing room. I'm sorry.
No.
Don't make a fool of yourself.
No.
Punching everybody in the way.
I liked it. For no other reason, it showed a little bit of something. We don't need 750 robots going straight to the bench or, off the ice. We don't need that. Okay. I get it. And Devin Dubnyk wasn't wrong for calling his bluff out. No, and that's all it was.
If you get to that point, drop your gloves with Dubnyk and fight. Duke it out. Duke it out before you leave. That's what
I wouldn't have minded. I wouldn't have minded.
If he did that, I would have been okay with it.
Mac, there's a lot of nights we're watching hockey and it lacks a little bit of emotion. The kid gave us something.
I didn't mind it a bit. I knew you would love it, so I was letting on.
Yes, thank you.
I kind of didn't get a kick out of it because it is so. Oh my God.
Yeah, I would have challenged a 165
I don't want
pounder.
Gary Bettman being mad at me, so I'm not going to say it's boring a lot of nights. But I tried to watch a couple of games yesterday. And look, if it was raining outside or if it was snowing, I may have been able to, but I had to go back and watch a couple of period of replays. And I mean, it's not easy to get through, honest to God.
Well, there are some nights, and again, not to come full circle to Columbus, but there's just some nights it's unemotional hockey, and they still skate really fast and they can make a good play occasionally. But I like Jordan Bennington for no other reason that it just brought a little bit of that emotional attachment that sometimes lacks in the game.
Jordan Bennington had more hits in that sequence than the Blue Jackets had against Nashville.
Oh gosh, maybe he was just pissed off.
With 3 hits. He was credited with 3 hits. I don't know how many hits were in that game yesterday by either team, but Jordan Bennington definitely would have been the hit leader.
I'm telling you what the number one reason he was so pissed off, because he looks in front of him and he doesn't see Colton Parayko.
Yeah.
That's a different look without that guy. He's that good.
And how long's he out for?
They say it's back related, which is kind of scary if that's the case.
Oh, listen, it is. I wanted to show you something here, but I don't have it here with me. I wanted to show you my back roller because I my back's been tightening up. I think I'm playing too much golf. So I know what Parayko's going through.
Are you talking about bringing a foam roller on the program today, Doug? Is that what we're thinking?
Hey,
he's going now. Okay.
Jordan, did someone on the show last week think that Mac was rolling a big doobie on our show?
They did, yes. And it wasn't yourself or me, unfortunately. We have a good time. We like to scroll through the comments from time to time.
Yes.
And one comment last week read, "I can't believe that no one's noticed this. Doug's waiting for the show to end. He's breaking up the weed. He's getting ready to roll it." I'm sitting there like, Jesus.
Speaking of rollers, what do you got for us, Mac? What do you got for us?
I had to go and get my roller. This is my foam roller.
Nice.
Just so that people didn't think I was bullshitting about the bad back.
That's like a cheat.
What?
It's like a pool noodle.
Why is the only head showing here?
I see you perfectly. If you just click on the screen, it should be coming back fine for everybody. But
it doesn't matter. That's fine.
We get so many comments too. It's like, what are you drinking? What are you smoking? What are you wearing? Nobody even listens to you talk hockey anymore.
I'll tell you what, the mauve shirt was a hit. People in chat, I think we probably got about 15 comments about the mauve shirt.
The mauve. We call it mauve.
Mauve. I don't care. It's a color here.
Canadians
Oh my God.
So
anyway,
I call
Mac,
it a nice shirt.
One more thing on Binnington too. Doug Armstrong went public that they want to get him re-signed. He's put himself in a pretty good position.
he's been a great story.
I think he's 27 years of age.
Yeah.
So, a guy that's just a little over, mid-20s. What do you sign him for after his Stanley Cup? And a bridge deal that he's coming off of.
I know I mean,
give me some numbers, Mac.
I mean, how does he not come in between 5 and 6? I mean, he's looking at these guys getting 10. I mean, what's he going to ask for 8?
No.
I mean, but he's going to be in the
6.
He's going to be in the 6 range, right?
He's going to be in the 6 range.
That's right. And this is a guy that came from being their number 3 goalie in their system, basically forgotten about, and he's reestablished his career and has become a star for them, which is a great one of the great goaltending stories out there. And he actually won some playoff games, unlike a lot of guys that get money and really don't win a lot of playoff games.
Would you be scared to sign him for a 6 or 7 year deal? Would you try to convince him to take less, pay more for it?
I'd be scared as a GM today to sign anybody to a 6 or 7 year deal, unless his name was Matthews, McDavid, Draisaitl.
Could you not?
After that, I'm nervous on any, because you know what? Most 6 and 7 year deals become bad deals before they're over. Very few are good deals at the end of it.
He'd have a pretty good argument to get a similar deal, say the Matt Murray in Ottawa, don't you think? 4 years.
I would think.
6.
I mean, I would be 100% comfortable at 4 years. But like I tell you, when you get into the 6, 7 years, 90% of them are bad deals before they're over. 90%.
Well, we don't know how it's
unless they're
young
young stars.
And Matt Murray, I think, comes in at 6.5. Mac, let me look that up.
6.25 maybe.
Matt Murray.
Oh, you have a research assistant?
6.25. Good call, Mac. 6.25. Okay. I would think that he could argue that one.
I would think so too. That's a great comparable. The only he's missing one Stanley Cup?
Matt Murray with back-to-back.
That's right, and he's got one. I mean, like
one of them with Marc-Andre Fleury on his wing.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So that's a great comparison.
All right. Speaking of Pittsburgh and Stanley Cups, our good friend Jimmy Rutherford is rejuvenated in 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
Yeah, he
didn't need much. Did you take him down to Florida? Did you take him out to dinner?
No, but
why is he feeling so energetic?
He'd like
pickleball.
He'd like to top up that GM's pension a little bit. He'd like to top that up. he's only got about 20 years towards it. So
I think he's
top that up.
I think he's doing very well here.
Oh, you know what it is. A guy like Jimmy misses being in the fire. I mean, he's been around. How an amazing run has he had since he got fired in Carolina and ends up with Sid and Malkin and Fleury. And I mean, what an amazing run, and a couple of Stanley Cups. So yeah, he doesn't want it to end the way it did. So we'll see if his name pops up. But I noticed that he was a little anxious there. He sees Berkey and Hexy slide in there, and I'm sure he's anxious to get back in the saddle.
Kind of quiet, Mac, in the East a little bit with Pittsburgh. Still on the outside looking in. They get shut out.
Well, big, tough loss yesterday, and you get a young goaltender in Ottawa, beats them. Casey DeSmith plays for Pittsburgh. They couldn't get a whole lot going in that game yesterday. That's going to be a good race, right to the wire with the Islanders and Pitt.
Question is there any way that Brian Burke and Ron Hextall can kind of put their fingerprints on it a little bit down the stretch? It's going to be hard.
Really hard to find that Jari has played well. Surprisingly, he's been good. He was real good last year, and he's played real good for them. Are they good enough? Are they good enough to beat the Islanders out? It's going to be a hell of a run. I mean, how do you underestimate Sid, Malkin, Letang? I noticed yesterday Letang's almost 23 minutes. Sid's 23 minutes. They're getting good mileage out of those guys. So the Islanders, I'm not sold that the Islanders are going to beat Pitt out for that last spot. I'm not sold on it. I wasn't at the start of the season, and I'm not sold on it yet.
Yeah, it'll come down. It'll come down to those last few weeks. No question about that. How we doing there, Jordan? We need to take any questions because we hit any milestones last week, or are we good?
Not. No, we're hoping that we hit that next milestone this whole week, Monday through Friday. 200 likes while we're live gets you a special Q&A on the following show. So today we had a great active comment in chat today. I want to ask you guys a question here. A lot of Leafs fans in chat, per usual, talking about the leadership of the team this year compared to years past. Our friends Yoda and some others are talking about how this year the Leafs kind of have that leadership and a little bit more backbone compared to years past. What are your thoughts on that as we close things up?
Yoda, is that the actor Yoda that's on the chat with us?
Yeah, the very same. Yes.
Okay. I think leadership. I think it starts with their coaching staff. I do. I think there's a part of it there. I think the leadership group has changed a bit. The kids have got some support. I think their leadership group's a lot better. I really do.
I look at this Toronto Maple Leaf team and I say it's Austin Matthews' team. And, if you go back a few years with that whole debacle in Arizona with the situation with him off the ice, it probably derailed his captaincy. But there's no question right now if it was still open, Tavares would not be the captain. And I don't mean this to disrespect John Tavares because he's had a remarkable career in so many ways. But the identity of the Leafs now is much more Austin Matthews than it ever will be with Tavares. Like Tavares just doesn't have an outgoing personality on or off the ice. He's a point getter. He's a what we role players describe star players sometimes as being cookie monsters. They love their cookies. They love their points. And Tavares will always find a way to get his points. But when it comes to an attitude and an identity, we're seeing it come in waves from a guy like Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner now than we ever will see with Tavares. So you want to talk about a newfound leadership or a newfound role for these players? We're seeing it in full force out of Matthews and Marner.
I don't disagree with that. He's the guy, and I don't know that didn't help him by not getting the captaincy early on, and Tavares taking it for a couple of years. But there's no doubt whose team it is. I don't care who the captain is. It is his team. And, how is John Tavares going to handle this moving forward is going to be interesting. He's always been the go-to guy since he was with the London Knights or the New York Islanders to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And you know what? He's going to be a secondary guy for them. He is almost right now.
He's never been a secondary guy, probably from the moment he started playing minor hockey for the Toronto Marlboros.
But I'm saying he's going to be here.
Yeah, he is going to be here. And at some times he's going to take a lot of heat for making $11 million for being a secondary centerman. But
it's not his problem.
It's not his problem, and it could still work. If Jason Spezza can come to work every day knowing some nights he's going to play 8 or 10 or 11 minutes and still find a way to contribute, then Tavares is going to have to do the same thing. But in saying that, Tavares may have to come to the conclusion that he doesn't need to score 80 or 90 points and lead the team in scoring. That's being looked after with Matthews and Marner. But he'll probably need to do, hold on for a second, what he needs to do now is focus on 200 feet. And he can be a lot better in his own zone.
And playoff hockey, he's got to really take a big step. But let me tell you, this if you can fit it in cap-wise as you move forward. I had the misfortune of coaching against a center ice that had Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg in the 1-2 spot. And I'm telling you, it was almost impossible to defend those two guys from a defensive posture and from a coaching perspective. They were that good and that dynamic. Sakic, the shooter, Forsberg, just the total package grinder, skill, strength. I mean, it was amazing 1-2 combination. And they had a lot of success.
Hey, I also saw in comments, I think Will Chan mentioned that he wants a Zerdev story out of you.
Hey, no, we're protecting those stories. We got to hit like 500
no.
for those.
I'm not saying that we need to do that now, but I'm preparing Mac. That
Zerdev come up to my office.
No.
We might have to end the show unexpected. Get your roller out. We're ending.
We need to hit 200 likes for you to get another.
That kind of for Zerdev, we need like 400 for him. The Q&A is that.
If we hit 200 likes, I will do a whole show of Zerdev's story.
I think we'll talk. We'll work it out.
We'll definitely work it out. Also, a shout out to Paul McNamara, who's a big fan of the show. Let us know on the weekend, Mac.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right. It was great to see. Really appreciate the comments and best wishes for a healthy recovery.
Yes. Yeah. So we appreciate everybody's following of the show. We want to have some fun, shoot the shit, get everybody involved. That's what the show is all about.
Yeah, for sure.
One last thing I want to mention before we close up is you were busting on your friend Elliot Friedman earlier. Did you guys see that on Saturday he was actually talking about NBA Top Shot on the broadcast? One day following our discussion. Oh,
I'll tell you something.
I never noticed that.
It's not hard to figure out.
We don't pay any attention to that stuff.
Right? The crypto currency was in full force on Saturday night after we had a lengthy discussion on it Friday. Yeah. Coincidence? I think not. Elliot's a big fan of our show. I know that.
Oh, big fan.
Why wouldn't he be?
Yeah,
right?
Wouldn't he be? And John Shannon, we know John Shannon is. Somebody asked me if that John Shannon video that he did of Tim and Sid's leaving, if it was John Shannon or was it Teddy Roosevelt giving that speech?
You're brutal. So who's giving you advice now on cryptocurrency now? Because you're telling us it's no good. Is that right, Matt?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying it's no good. I'm just saying. I'm saying don't be the last guy holding the bag of crypto. I think it's great. People are making money on it. Buy, sell. But Don't get to this
Yeah.
point. You're going to keep it forever. But that's just, hey, listen, I don't know. I listen to Kramer on CNBC. He's
Bye,
my,
bye, bye.
Yeah.
Oh my God, sell.
You're listening to the same people that are telling you that the internet will never fly,
what is the internet?
right?
I love that Katie Couric speech. Can somebody explain to me what the internet is? I was the same way, Katie. Don't feel
All
bad.
right. We'll let you get back to your busy schedule. I know,
Yes,
Mac,
I am busy today.
I know
I got another podcast to
you
do,
got-
which is
you got some serious things going on, and
I got to get 2 cars washed. this
Well, that's
afternoon.
just it. You've got this incredible issue right now that you're dealing with. It's called, and he was telling us this before the show started. It's called salt spray.
Salt spray.
Right?
Not
This
in
is
my
a-
hair.
This
Not
is
in
a
my hair.
tremendous Doug Maclean first world issue.
Yeah.
Salt
Salt spray. You
spray.
got to get your car washed.
And
So I did a deal at Rub-A-Dub. It's $29.95 for the Rub-A-Dub is a wash.
you
car
go to the
wash.
rub and tug and you're telling everybody
I
about
heard
this.
you shouldn't do that, Doug. I know Joe's
rub-
on vacation.
no,
Zach,
but come on,
Rub-A-Dub-
bro.
That's
Rub-A-Dub
personal.
car wash.
You
A
and
Rub-A-Dub
the
car wash.
listen, you and the
And,
owner of
Mr.
the
Kraft.
Patriots Craft.
Kraft.
You got to keep that
That
stuff
was
in
South
Florida.
right?
Okay, don't let it leave Florida here on the Real Kipper
Rub-A-
at Noon show.
The
About your
Rub-A-Dub
rub
car
and tug.
wash.
What is it?
Okay. Thanks, guys. It was good to see you.
Oh, you got yourself in trouble. What is that? What
It's
is
a
it?
car
Rub and
wash.
what?
Rub-A-Dub. Rub-A-Dub car wash.
Rub-a-dub.
Yeah,
So
Rub-A-Dub.
it's-
But you buy a deal, you get a deal, $29.95 for the month. And you can go as many times as you want. So
I have
you know,
that
I'm
here as
going-
well. I really
I'm
do
going-
enjoy
I'm
And
it.
going-
you
I'm
leave.
going twice a week. So, twice a week. So it's going to cost me $3.70 a wash. That's how I
That's a
work.
But the
bargain.
important thing is you leave with a happy ending.
Well, I leave with my car clean.
All right, Doug Maclean with shiny new cars to end the Real Kipper at Noon show on this Monday, March 1st. All right, Mac, we'll let you go deal with your first world issues called salt spray. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Doug Maclean, everybody from sunny Florida, while we still bask in cold weather up here. But it's turning. We are in March now. We see a light at the end of the tunnel. All right, Jordan, anything else, pal, as we sign off? Oh, he's gone
Yeah,
already.
we're good to go. We spoke
good
about
to
this
go.
on Friday. We're good to go. Great time, boys. I've been laughing hysterically for the past 2 minutes, so I hope
Well, good.
everybody else was as well.
And everybody, thanks for joining us. If you're a first-time watcher, please subscribe. Leave some comments. Love to hear from you. We'll get you ready this Wednesday when we're back on air. So for Doug, myself, Joe, and Jordan, everybody have a great night, and we'll see you Wednesday on the Real Kipper at Noon show.